On my 27th birthday, the room smelled like success you can't quite afford cold perfume, polished glass, laughter that skimmed over me without landing. My grandfather raised his flute, the cut crystal catching the chandelier light. So, Maya, he said, easy as a smile, how are you enjoying your $3.4 million trust? Time tipped sideways. What trust? I asked. Forks hovered midair. My mother's grin fissured. My father's throat worked like he'd swallowed a stone. My grandfather, Edward Quinn, silver hair, an old world kind of calm, didn't blink. The trust I established when you were born, he said. Your parents were to release it to you at 25. My mother's laugh was too bright. Dad, you must be misremembering. Lila, he said, and her name landed like a gavel. The maitre d' materialized. Within minutes, we were in a private room, our expensive plates abandoned, the door sealing with a hush. Inside, the air was colder. Edward's assistant, Serena, waited with a tablet, and beside her stood a lawyer whose pen looked like a scalpel. This won't take long, my grandfather said. We're after clarity. The lawyer slid papers toward me. Maya Quinn, this is the trust account in your name. Initial funding, $1 million. Given market performance, it should stand near $3.4 million. Should? I asked. As of this morning, he said, it's 200,000. The words hit like a shove. I stared at the print until the lines blurred. 200,000. What wasn't said filled the room. 25 years of growth, skimmed and siphoned. My grandfather's gaze never left my parents. Explain. My father tugged at his cuff. We used some of it. Temporary fixes. The market crashed. The mortgage. That's over $3 million, Charles, Edward said. My mother clasped her clutch as if it were a life jacket. We were protecting her future. If Maya had gotten it too young, she might have wasted it. I laughed, short and broken. You mean like wasting it on groceries? Rent? Student loans? You always did fine, she said softly, as though praise could erase theft. Enough, my grandfather said, and the word cut clean. Serena, list the withdrawals. Serena read, voice steady. Primary mortgage payoff, $450,000. 2 vehicles, Tesla Model S, $280,000. Home renovation, $320,000. Investment into Lila Quinn Properties, $500,000. Marked total loss. She glanced up. And a Malibu property. Purchase price $1.8 million. Titled to Charles and Lila Quinn. A beach house. I felt the floor tilt again. It was an investment, my father said, but even he winced at the word. It was theft, Edward replied. From your daughter. Silence spread, thick and buzzing. Then my grandfather pushed back his chair. Keys. My mother hesitated. Then she pulled a small ring from her purse. 2 keys and a fob, and set it on the table with trembling fingers. Edward slid it to me. These are yours, he said. 2 years late. The metal felt warm from her hand, cold against mine. My mother's eyes went glassy. Dad, please. We're family. Family doesn't steal, he said. You'll hear from my attorneys in the morning. He turned to me. Maya, the choice to press charges is yours. I nodded because words were too fragile to trust. We left through a corridor that smelled of lemon polish and endings. Outside, San Francisco's fog had rolled in, softening the streetlights. My roommate, Riley, was waiting in our Mission District apartment, takeout cartons already open. They stole from you, she said when I told her. Not just money, I said, years. 3 days later, I stood in my grandfather's office at the top of a downtown glass tower, feeling transparent and heavier all at once. Serena met me in the lobby and whispered, They're here. They want to negotiate. The word tasted like varnish. Edward sat behind his desk, posture carved from old habits. Across from him, my parents. My father looked smaller. My mother's lipstick was perfect, but her hands were not. We never meant for it to go so far, my father began. We were drowning. I understand greed, Edward said. I built a fortune recognizing it. We love her, my mother said, reaching toward me with a practiced tremble. We were going to tell her, eventually. When? Asked the lawyer, Mr. Adler, stepping forward with a stack of bank statements. Before or after you sold the Malibu property? He laid out the audit, traced transfers, shell companies, receipts for jewelry and cruises. My parents' indulgences shone under fluorescent lights. Serena handed me a folder of photos, white stone counters, monogrammed towels, a life funded by my name. This meets the threshold for criminal charges, Adler said. Felony fraud, breach of fiduciary duty. My mother's breath hitched. Maya, you wouldn't do that to us. I didn't do this, I said. You did. My father leaned forward, desperate now. We made mistakes, but prison? We're your parents. Parents protect, I said. They don't pillage. My grandfather's eyes were on me, kind and unyielding. The choice is yours. The city glittered beyond the window, the bay a sheet of hammered metal. I thought about the job I'd just lost. The nights hunched over a laptop sketching logos for clients who paid late. The graduation where they handed me a book on financial literacy instead of help. The dinners where my voice hit a wall of polite indifference. I looked at my mother Lila, who taught me silence like it was a virtue. I'm pressing charges, I said. The room stilled. Something inside me did too. Papers were signed. Security escorted them out. My mother turned once at the door, mascara holding fast. You'll regret this. I met her eyes and said, no, not anymore. When the door clicked, the silence changed that heavy, suffocating kind, replaced by something cool and clean. Edward stood, slower than before, and put a hand on my shoulder. You did the right thing, he said. It doesn't feel good, I admitted. Justice rarely does, he said. But it's honest. That evening, I used the keys. Pacific Heights sat quiet, glass and steel stacked against the sky. The doorman greeted me by name, because of course he did. Inside, the apartment looked like a catalog. Marble counters, neutral rugs, a coffee table book open to a page about chairs you can't afford to sit on. On the kitchen island sat a lease folder. Apparently, my parents had been collecting rent on my property for years. I laughed until I cried. Then I cried like laughter had been the price to open the door. Riley arrived with noodles and cheap wine. You're really here, she whispered. We ate on the floor, cartons between us, the bay glittering beyond the windows. The keys lay on the counter, a small constellation of metal promises. How's justice feel? She asked. Quiet, I said. Heavier than I imagined. A month passed before I slept a full night. In daylight, restitution crawled forward. The Teslas sold, the Malibu house liquidated, club memberships rescinded. Adler called with updates. Serena emailed confirmations. Funds flowed back where they belonged under my name, finally attached to my life instead of my parents' appetites. A judge ordered my parents to pay monthly restitution. Edward told me in a voice that had known too many disappointments. I didn't feel triumphant, just balanced for once. Work found me again, but differently. Edward referred a few startups that needed branding, and I took them not because I needed to claw my way out of panic, but because I was good at it. I set up a small studio in the second bedroom with a view of the water. Mornings, the fog drifted across the bay like breath. Nights, the city hummed. Riley came over on weekends to hang art and argue about whether anyone actually likes mid-century chairs, or if everyone just pretends. You could buy this building now, she joked. I don't want more things, I said. I want more quiet. Weeks folded into each other. My name settled onto deeds, accounts, habits. Ownership, I learned, isn't just about paper. It's about breathing without asking permission. One evening, Edward invited me to dinner. He looked older, but lighter, as if the years had finally loosened something they'd knotted too tight. You drew a line I never could with your mother, he said. You taught me how, I told him. Driving home, I passed the restaurant where everything cracked open. Through the glass, couples laughed and clinked glasses, oblivious to how fast a family can fracture on the fault line of money. I didn't go in. Some doors need to stay shut. Here's what I know now. Blood isn't the same thing as loyalty. My parents called it love while they emptied my future. I learned to call it by its name and take back what was mine quietly, legally, completely. When I stand on the balcony and watch the bay turn silver, I don't mourn what I lost. I count what I rebuilt. Boundaries, work I'm proud of, a home that answers to me. If the people you trusted most turned your life into collateral, hear me. You can start again and end stronger. And if this sounds uncomfortably familiar, stay close. The stories we survive together are the ones that set us free.